The piece that I do remember vividly is a nurse asking me, "Are you ready to meet your son?" And without thinking, the word no came out of my mouth. I knew immediately that there wasn't something exactly right with me, and that I was not myself. I was so disoriented and so detached that I didn't ask for instruction on how to ensure the best start for us. I felt increasingly anxious. I didn't want to talk to anyone, even my best friends. The physical symptoms started to overwhelm me in the 2nd and 3rd and 4th weeks postpartum. I became almost obsessive about every detail, from the way that I fed him, to whether or not he was able to burp after I fed him, to how I laid him down, to the temperature of his bottle, to the temperature of the room that he was in. If my husband would come out while I was pumping my breast milk in the middle of the night and try to talk to me or turn the lights on, I would just collapse into tears, afraid that the brightness of the light would trigger something in my brain that would make me stay awake for longer than I would have normally. So every little detail of life I became completely obsessed by. After a couple of nights of these episodes, I just completely broke down. The next morning, my husband said, "I think there's something wrong with you." And of course, I was completely angered. But when he said that to me, I realized that I was crying more than I was smiling. And I realized I wasn't enjoying anything about motherhood thus far. I knew that I had to do something. I made a phone call, and that doctor made time for me that week, and we realized that I was in the midst of what she called the perfect storm. My unexpectedly unsuccessful natural vaginal childbirth turned emergency C-section, and then failure to breastfeed, and then 4 weeks of sleep deprivation created a situation where it would have been less likely for me not to have some level of postpartum depression than it would have for me to be well. Her initial prescription outside of the other parts of treatment was to find a way for me to get adequate sleep. I, for 2 nights over the weekend, went to my friend's house and with the aid of medication attempted to sleep. That was the fastest route to me getting back to myself and to me being able to bond with my son. It's really important to recognize and allow yourself time to bond with your child. It is a learning process, and that is okay. Just because having a baby is natural does not mean that it is completely and immediately instinctual. The success of the childbirth experience and the breastfeeding experience don't have anything to do with a mother's effort towards them or dedication to them or even her ability to be a mom. Being a good mom is taking care of yourself and taking good care of your baby, and the details that we just talked about do not define who you are as a mother. Today, my son is nearly 2.5 years old, and I am enjoying motherhood. I'm still working at becoming more flexible and less rigid and allowing myself to live in the moment with him. But I can tell you that I rarely feel anxious. I am not depressed at all anymore, and I find joy and pleasure in spending time with my family and also in helping other women who have experienced or are currently experiencing postpartum depression.